basics of offense and
Overarching
defense.
class is intro to striking, intro to self-defense. But the 101s is all about what is a punch, what is a jab, how do I throw a jab. Then the intermediate, like the 201, was how do I land the
Okay, what is a
jab.
jab? This
For a
is a
lot,
jab for most people, but it's not actually a jab. It's like 80% of a jab. An actual jab is all the way out, all the way back. Same thing happens with your cross. So a lot of people learn that a cross, get if I'm in my stance, is just here, extending this arm out. I'm picking up this foot ever so slightly because, just driving the push forward, but it's still only 80%. So like here is only 80% of my punch, 80% of my arm power, 80% of my distance. I can actually turn that shoulder out and over accentuate the leg. Now, what I want to emphasize about this is if I punch like this and this was my target, I would never reach them. So again, if I'm trying to land a punch, I just extend my arm out right here and stop. That is not necessarily a punch. It is definitely useful in like sparring to, just pepper someone with a jab. But if this is someone's head, I throw a jab and it stops here. That's not actually a jab. A jab would stop here. If you look at my feet, look at my shoulders, I'm here. I'm going to rotate out and then turn out. And that's the full extension of the jab. So the full jab is here. I don't want to end up in this position pretty much ever. Like if a screenshot happened, I was in a fight, you don't want to see me here, but the end of it was here. Like if I'm jabbing, you keep coming forward, I might have to really jab you, and that's going to get you back because this a proper punch with the proper power, with the proper force. And if you try to walk through that, you wouldn't be able to, provided we're the same size. Same thing with a cross, right? So I can land a cross and not over accentuate that back leg, but the same thing's applying. Like if this was someone's face, the ring side, I'm only like grazing their nose with this punch and I'm not doing a lot of damage. I can like make their nose bleed, but they could literally, like, if I keep doing this, they could walk through that, hit me a lot harder, and I would be the one losing that exchange. So when it comes to this punch here, this is only part of it. The rest of it is turning your shoulder and extending and rotating that foot. So remember, like if I'm in a fight, yeah, I might be 1-2 and I might be 1-2 and when it's time to end the fight, I'm gonna rotate all the way through. And yes, this is a little bit exaggeration, but it's also not. Like if you watch knockouts, when someone actually knocks someone out, they will turn all the way over, or they'll even pick that foot up off the ground. And it's not about proper form or not proper form. It's about generating the most power as possible. Like sometimes if we've been fighting and I see an opening right here, I just gotta go for it. And I go for it and I make sure I extend all the way through. So what we're just talking about was proper punch form and the fact that you have 4 levels of punches. You have your outside of range, you have your in range, you have a partial punch, and then a full punch. And if I'm using this as a metric, this is my range for like when I can actually punch someone. If I was outside of range, I would have to step into range, land that punch, and then, I can either stay in range or step back out. But the point would be, if I'm stepping into range, 2 things happen, right? So when I step in, I'm going to land my punch right where I'm at. And I'm also carrying my body weight forward. So like I don't have to make the punch too hard. If I'm shooting forward in this motion, my power is coming from that. So all I need to do is release the arm of the punch. If I was in place though and I need to generate that same power, I need to extend through my target. So
one way to work on this would be if you're at a heavy bag or you had a partner. If I start within arm's reach, so which means I can touch this. Now, quick little pointer for people. Arm's reach, if you notice on my arm is bent, does mean a little bit closer than you might think. So my boxing range is right here. My kicking range is right here. If I'm boxing with someone, my arms are bent because if I was throwing a full power strike, it will go all the way through, all the way through. Versus if I'm just tapping, if I'm just being busy, this is what it'll look like. One step further back to identify that would be my kicking up. So these strikes, in terms of punches, aren't going to be as powerful. But what it allows me to do is get the very end of my boxing range, and also the range where I can land kicks safely. So identify your range. If you want to work on movement, you have a partner or a hoodie bag. Once you know your range, take a step back from that range. So now I'm completely out of range. And what I want to try to identify is, can I push off my back foot, land within my range, and then land a strike? So at first, you might just come in, come out, come in, settle down, maybe land some strikes, then come out. Um, then you can try to time actually throwing strikes while you're doing it. But there's progressions to this. So first is, okay, can I figure out how much I need to move? Well, this is how much I need to move. Now I'm in my boxing range. Can I figure out if I wanted to land a kick, how to move slightly less? Now I'm in my kicking range. Once you get that down, you can start really making it a drill. So I want to shoot in, land a jab. What makes that a drill is, you notice I pushed, landed, and timed my jab at a relative all at the same time. Like, no one's perfect. I'm also talking to a camera, but you'll see that this is essentially a pushing, landing, and extending all at once, or at least in the same type of timing. Like, it's a push, it's a break, then it's an extension, and you want them to be timed at the appropriate. Like, if I go too slow, it looks like that, you lose power. If you go too fast, you'll either overextend yourself or you'll miss your target. If you got the perfect timing, you'll feel it go from the ground to your target or the bag, and then you'll feel it come back. So from the ground to your target, then you'll feel it come back. Throwing across or any other strike is the same thing, but this is different. The reason most people use jabs is because this is the safest I can be. I can jab and literally move around all day with this one little step in and out. When you're ready, you want to add your cross to that. So you want to push forward. I'm trying to land a cross and I'm lined up. The cross is going to be over to your right side. So push forward and to your left. Also, that way you can actually land that cross. If you notice, I'm actually in the same spot I will be for that jab. Just slightly to the left, and then I turn. The same way you would throw a regular cross if you were in place. But I came from here, boom, and landed over here. Hooks are the same thing. You just have to get a lot deeper. So if I was here and I wanted to land a hook, boom, I would have to get deeper, load it, send it out, send it out. Deeper, load, send. From here, boom, landing a load, release the load, release the load.
Same thing happens with hooks. Like if I'm throwing hooks, boom, this is a hook. Boom, this is a hook. But this is me stopping. If I was throwing a hook and I just stop right here, when you throw a punch, you're gonna want to punch them, push all the way through. So with that hook, if I stop here, I'm losing a little bit. That's like 80%. I want to get 100. 100. I can be peppering, 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 peppering. But the moment I want to finish the fight, boom, 100, 100, 100, 100. Now, I don't want to overcomplicate this, but I do want to conclude it with saying there's a reason that defense and counters exist. So these positions that we're talking about, 100% fully extended, could also be considered overextended. Like it's either fully extended, or let's say when you pick up your foot that's overextended, you need a plan B. You need an exit strategy. So again, if I do this, I can't stay here. I'm going to like roll out. If I do this, I'm going to step out. If I do this, I'm going to roll. This, I'm going to roll. And again, there's more details to it, but I do want you to understand the fight might not end just because you threw your hardest punch ever. You do need a plan to get out of there and a plan to follow back up. You have your zones. That's why the zones exist. Like I can land that and get off to my rear side angle. I can land that, get off to my lead side angle. I can land that, get backwards, and just make sure I'm protected. I have options. But again, landing a punch with full rotation or full extension is a thing. It has a purpose. It's definitely not something you would use all the time, but it's something you want to know how to do and when to do it. So let's talk about being in range, too close, and then out of range. So Out of range is where I can hit, my opponent. My opponent can't hit me, and I'm fairly safe. If I take one more step, then I'm in range. So this would be like punch in range. You can throw, any punch, any kick from here. Outside of range, you could technically get a kickoff. You would just have to step forward first. But you take one more step, and you would be in like the danger zone. So identify I'm safe, I'm not safe, I'm in a fighting zone, and I'm entirely too close, and I need to get out of there. If I want to throw a combo or throw a strike, I want to start where I can't be hit, step into that zone where I can be, land my punches, and then step back out where I can't be. There's times where you want to enter here, but anytime you get this close, you're going to want like defensive maneuvers such as slips, rolls, hand fighting, and different things like that. So if I go closer, 1, 2, when I get this close, I'm going to want to roll, or I'm going to want to roll. I can also slip. So the closer I get here, I still want to land, slip, slip, roll, roll, but I don't want to keep walking forward, taking punches and landing punches at the same time. I want to have a little bit of zigzag and a little bit of variability of whether I'm coming down the center, coming down the right, or I'm coming down the left. All right. If I wanted to land punches or land a combo, what I want to have is a plan. There's a couple plans you can have. You can move in and you can move out. You can move into your lead side, or you can move into your rear side, or you can move in and exit to your lead, or move in and exit to your rear. Now, generally, we talked about our levels. You have the same levels whether you're center to your rear to your lead. It's just about how you take them. So if I come in through the middle, I can exit out to the right or rear and then back up. And I can re-enter in the rear, come through the middle, head over to the lead, exit from the lead, enter from the lead, go to the middle, return to the lead, and then exit back out. When you're going to your lead, it's called an L step. When you're going to your rear, it's called an angle step. There's more exits than just those two. Those are the basic ones. Like if I want to go to my lead side, I take a step with my left foot, bring my right foot over, and it's like drawing that L. So coming forward, coming lateral, then that L shape. I'm going to the rear side, right foot steps first, left foot comes over, and then it's the opposite of an L, whatever letter that would be. So L here, and then reverse L on the other side.
You've given them everything.
Not everything. Not yet.
We get stronger every day. This is where I'm standing. My hands can technically be lower, so I can be at my chin, be long guarded. I can be moving around. But the closer I get, the more I need to be here, or at the very least here, having that added protection. Out here, be a little bit more loose. Closer I get, the higher they go. Once you have your stance right, then you have your arms. I'm going to walk toward you to show you a little bit about movement, but that's not the goal today. As I move, I'm going to try to stay balanced, bend my knees and essentially lunge. By the time I get all the way up on someone, these are the things I want to worry about. You want your hands to be up at about chin height. You want your chin to be tucked. And it should be a little hard to see, but you should still be able to see. I'm looking right over my gloves. My chin is protected. My elbows are protected. And let's call this the first level of normal defense. So this is no defense. This is just walking around and, trying to bait people into head movement. This is normal levels of defense. This would be your shield. If you want a stronger shield, you're going to take those hands and make it high guard. So if your hands go from your chin, you keep that chin tucked. I can see you. Now it's hard to see. Think like binoculars on the top of your head. And you want your hands to be facing a little bit away from you. It really depends on whether you have gloves on or not. I'll show you in just a second the difference, but
I want this binocular so I can see. I want to cover as much distance as possible. So like you really can't, I want to be at my temple so you really can't get to my ear. And I want to be tight so that you can't get to my chin and you can't get to the back of my head. From there, when you're like in your high guard, there's a couple different things you can do. You can just survive, of course. So if I was here trying to parry, someone came all the way in, I'll put my hands up, bend my knees, and just try to survive. You can also smother. So if I had, like, if I was trying to get close to someone and I was here and we were like fighting and I wanted to smother them, put my hands up, take a step forward, and smother the space, and then proceed to strike. So hands up.
The best thing you can possibly do is go from outside to inside and then back outside. You want to be safe, not safe, 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 not safe, 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 not safe, safe. Now, I just do a hook, and that's a good example of like when you can start going to your lead side or your lateral lead angle, or you can go to your rear angle. So if you only go forward and backwards, it gets predictable. So instead of just going in and out, you can go in, boom, and take that same side leg, step, step, and recenter. So remember, instead of drawing the L, you get in, step over to the side, bring your other foot with you. Opposite side is the same thing. Just make sure you move your other foot when you go to that opposite side. So if I come in, boom, when I go this way, I'm here. You want to make sure your hips are turning. So I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this when I make my move. I want to step and turn. When I make a move, I want to step and turn. That way, whatever is in front of me is always in the middle, centralized. But a roll means to step to your lead or your rear side. So when you get in, I was like, hook, hook, hook. And I wanted to roll, tuck my chin, step, roll. Go the other way too. Tuck, step, roll. This cone is here where you want to stay close to the ground. So like I do want you guys to see exactly where I'm going because again, like even though I'm coming in for a punch, I don't want to be here. This would be a little bit too close. You can do stuff from that close range, but that's like elbow and grab range. This is if someone tried to grab you, you can get a punch off. So remember, even though this is safe, there's still precautions when you get this close that I don't want to just be here, not being able to see it. Useful combos utilizing this setup and your movement in terms of trying to actually land a strike. So your 1-2, most people when you first learn them, you're either going to be throwing them in place, missing, or you're going to be overextended. So make sure if I'm throwing a 1-2 or any strike, I'm using my foot to move forward and also to load it. So if I'm doing 1-2, using this example here, I want to push, land, turn, reset. Push, land, turn, reset. Then I can step back out. So push, turn, push. I can also just do 2 jabs, which um you got set up versus like power trying to knock someone out. 2 jabs is also good. We can talk about the follow up in a second, but instead of just 1-2, I can go boom, boom. Now for that one, I'm not going to be turning over. I'm just going to push off this twice. The first one will be really long. Second one will be short. So long jab, quick jab, push out. Adding that too is a good follow up. Now, as you saw, I got past that safe zone. So what I want to do when I'm throwing that too is make sure I tuck my chin and get out the center line. So I'll go long, short, long, got it. So again, if I'm boom, boom, that last one, that's when you release everything. Set it home. Don't release it so hard that you can't recoil. So remember, I need a plan A, I need a plan B, I need a plan C. So just make sure I'm not like, boom, boom, and then throwing so hard that I'm here. Because if I'm here, I'll never be able to get back over here. Now, if you do make that mistake, what you need to do, bring that foot forward. You'll need to switch the space out, but it's a little bit different. I'll finish with a lead hook, like a body shot, so I can walk in, occupy, and a good one. Back, get back here, reset. I'm gonna start over here just to make sure you can see it. But every time you throw something, you need to adjust your knee, your ankle, or your foot. Boom, 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 boom. Every movement should be from head to toe, from toe to head. I'm throwing a punch. I'm not just putting my arm out. I'm actually pushing off the ground, turning into the ground, turning my hip, using my knee. I bring it all back. It should be everything moving, preferably all at once, unless, there's different times where you want to time it, but still, they should be working together. So, like, I can change up my timing. I can go, or last thing I'm gonna go over is, so I mentioned earlier the rear side angle, which can extend out to where your original safe was at. Lead side angle can extend out. Now, if you notice, they don't extend out straight. Like, this isn't here, and this isn't here, because you never want to be where someone's going to expect you to be. So I'll run through a few combos and kind of try to talk through it. But again, if I'm here and we're fighting, I want to get in. Oh, maybe I'll kick him. But then when I leave, I want to be here. And if I wanted to get back in front of him, I wouldn't go here. I would go here. Then I would go here. You want to know where I'm completely safe, where I need some defense, where I absolutely shouldn't go unless I'm grabbing. But then also be mindful that it's more of a circle, it's an angle, than it is just not a box. It's not a rigid thing, it's a fluid. I can land a jab cross, any of these spots, and you want to be familiar with the whole thing.
That's not really good. So you go down there, you lean on a little bit to the side, that way you aim where you were aiming where you were at, and you make same thing, same thing, same thing. Appreciate your punches. We're going to drop the punches down to the body. What you want to do is make sure you're using your little muscle by bending your knees and going from here. You want to do a one-on-one movement. Everyone go down, stick it out, stick it out. Come back up, come back up, come back up, come back up.
Like a square hook. Now, when I want to drop it down to the body, all I have to do is that squat maneuver. Squat down, shoot it out, come back. On this side, instead of a squat, you're going to do a lunge. So that same cross, the same back foot, you want to over accentuate it, lunge down, come back. Boom.
This position I'm in, the closer I get, the more up in my knees and the more leverage I want. Hey, they're not really, power punches, I'm going to use that bend to go ahead and throw the body. Last but not least is the head movement. Anytime you go down here.
When I'm throwing, I'm going to keep my head off the center line, called zigging and zagging. And I'm also going to make sure I don't get in the habit of staying down. So when I throw, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, and I'm here. And then I come back. And then I come back. Doesn't matter which side you're going to, which stance you're in, it works the exact same. Boom, boom, boom. Generally, you should stay in whatever stance your natural arm, your natural strong arm is behind you. You can try out both, but you want to get the fundamentals down before you start switching back and forth, because you don't want to go, oh, I think I'm behind.
So 101, it's all about intro to either Muay Thai, intro to self-defense, intro to kickboxing, intro to boxing. The big gist of what we were doing is how to. But now that we know how to in terms of the basics, so we know how to punch, we know how to kick, what I now want us to do is how do we refine our technique to a place that is not only acceptable but exceptional. So try to build these drills into your arsenal. That way you can get better and better, and you can eventually, if you're someone who is, like a cardio guy, someone who's just practicing at home, eventually try this on someone else. That way you see what works and what doesn't. Hey, coach.